morning, seniors. This is Mr. Brett from the College and Career Center with Mr. Feeney from Home Office F40, here to talk to you about Naviance college applications, requesting transcripts, and making sure that everything is done right to help you apply to college and get you moving forward after you graduate from North Penn High School.
You may have attended the college application night or seen that presentation before. That's like a 30,000-foot overview of this process. This is really the nuts and bolts, like you need to do this right now. So if you don't have your Chromebook out already, please do so. Make sure you're ready. You're logged into Naviance. We're going to cover that in a sec. But that you're able to do, we hope that you're able to do the steps included in this process all the way up to the last step today, like right now. So make sure your Chromebook's out, or you can use your phone, whatever. But we're going to get into really the nitty-gritty of how to do the things that we've talked about kind of on a larger scale.
Absolutely. So we want you to log into Naviance. When you get there, you might have to type in the zip code for North Penn High School, which is 19446. Obviously, you choose North Penn High School. There might be 5 choices in there. Please choose North Penn High School. And your username or your email address, whatever it says, it's just your school username. For me, it would be Brett PF. And then your password is just your ID number, those 6 digits. There's no NPN in front of it, just the 6-digit ID number. Once you do that, you'll get to the main page of Naviance, and we will walk you through exactly what we're going to talk about today and walk you through how to do everything. So if we're ready to go,
yep,
and everybody's logged into Naviance, which hopefully you had done that prior to as we gave instructions to the teachers, but we want you to get in Naviance if you're not and get on board with us. So we're talking about identifying the college you're going to apply to. We're talking about what to do if your college application is Common App, and also how to request transcripts, A, in Naviance, and B, in person. That is very, very, very important. Mm-hmm. So let's get started. As I talked about, username, make sure it's just your ID, your school username, Brett PF, or whatever it is, your last name, first 5 digits, your last name, and first initial or first initial and middle initial. And your password is going to be your 6-digit ID number. If you're not able to log in, email your counselor. And your counselor, either Mr. Feeney, Dr. Yetter, or Mrs. Flacco, will be able to reset it for you. Please do not go down to their office. Please do not come down to the College and Career Center. Make sure you just email us. It's so much quicker for us to do that through email and reset your password than it is for 35, 40, 50 kids to come down to an office at one time. All right, here's where we are. Everybody should be on this page. If you can't get in, we understand. Just bear with us. This will be available for you on our school's website. So you're in the first page. We want to select the colleges I'm applying to tab that's highlighted here. After we select that, you will see where we are, and you'll be understanding of what we're going to talk about in the next couple minutes.
Right. A lot of you are applying to Common App schools. If you're not familiar with Common App, basically it's an organization that started a number of years ago that said it's a pretty big pain for students to go through and apply if you have 6, 8, 10 colleges, and each application has similar components but different from each other, and you have to go through each hoop every time for each school. Common App exists to allow you to apply to college more easily, which is really kind of nice. So you may find that one or more of your schools are Common App schools. We're going to talk about how to add these colleges, but recognize that once you do add these colleges, if it's a Common App school, and you can discover that by just checking out the school's website, or if you go to Common App, it'll have a list of schools. If it's a Common App school, you need to link up Common App and Naviance. That's one of the biggest things that we find that trip people up. Absolutely. They'll say, okay, I'm trying to apply, but for some reason I can't apply, and they're not matching their account. So that's a big thing to do today to make sure. So if your school's a Common App school, make sure that you have a commonapp.org account. And as Mr. Brett said, we're going to be moving pretty quickly through this presentation, but the slides are available on the guidance webpage if you need a slowed down step-by-step. Once you have the Common App account, you're going to add a school. Let's say it's Temple University, which happens to allow the Common App. You're going to add a school to Common App, and then you're going to see a tab, and it's going to allow you to start the application process, and then there's a tab on the left-hand side that says FERPA and recommendations. Okay, the FERPA is the Family Educational Rights Privacy Act, something like that, and what it allows you to do is get access to all of your info, right? So you want to see your transcripts, you can see your transcripts. You want to see your report cards, you want to see go for it. They're yours. They're your educational records. In this case, however, we recommend that you waive the right to view your records when it comes to just to recommendations from teachers, okay? This will allow you to get a better recommendation from a teacher potentially. Most importantly, the colleges will see whether or not you've checked this box, and they can really, if you've waived your FERPA rights, they'll know that whatever comes from the teacher is really unaffected by the potential the teacher has of the student reading it and coming back and saying, I didn't like your essay, it's your fault I didn't get into this school, and so on. So this is one of the few cases I can think of when I recommend you waive your rights, but do that part. Everybody does it across the board because this college process is set up in a way to protect you still, but in this case, to make sure you're being presented in the best light to colleges. So you'll go through, you'll check that, you say, I'll waive my rights and in the Common App. Once you've done that, and you just need to do that for one school, Common App will take care of it for all the rest, then you're going to match your Naviance account to Common App. And all you do there, you see there on the screen, the Match Accounts button there in white. You click that, you just type in your Common App email address, and I think your birthday.
It's pre-populated.
Oh, great. There you go. Pre-populated in most cases, and then they're linked up. That will save you a ton of time. Again, and that's one of the biggest impediments to this process for most students is being able to match those two. So far, you're starting to add schools, and then you're linking up your Common App, if it's a Common App school, to Naviance. And then the last step, which is where we really are on the calendar, we're just about to launch this step, is requesting transcripts. So Mr. Brett's going to start out with the first part of how you do that, and that's in Naviance.
Absolutely. So 2 parts to requesting transcripts, both equally as important. If you don't do it in Naviance, we can't actually send it because we send everything through Naviance. If it's not in there, we don't have a button to click to send. If you don't do it in person, we don't have authority to send it. By you filling out the paper that I'll show you in a second, I talked about two nights ago at college application night, you don't give us you don't acknowledge that we are allowed to send it. So again, both pieces are very, very important and equally important. So you want to make sure that you know what to do in Naviance and in person. In Naviance, there are 2 ways to do it. One, you may have already pre-populated your schools in there, whether you sent it over from Common App because you loaded the schools in Common App first and you linked your accounts and boom, they're in there. Or you just started typing them in and happened to forget. No big deal.
You may have had them in there from junior year.
Correct. You may have added them.
Colleges you're interested in.
Yep, from college you're interested in, and then just moved them over to your application list. The request transcripts button, you would check the box on the left-hand side, click request transcripts, and then there's a green button that you'd say request all transcripts. That will go through, and then here you'll notice in the middle of the screen where it says transcripts, you'll see requested next to Bloomsburg University for this particular slide. Or if you haven't yet listed your colleges to the list, you will click the big plus button in the top right-hand corner of Naviance of your college I'm applying to page. You will click the drop-down box or start typing into the box. You'll notice here I started typing in Widener, but didn't have to stop because Widener started to populate. You will then make sure that you choose between Common App or direct to the institution. You need to know that because that's how we send it. And if it doesn't go the correct way, the school may not get it.
Can I just jump in there?
Absolutely.
Please don't choose I'm not sure yet because you may forget. And not choosing is choosing something that's incorrect. That's not an option that'll fly. So I would rather you say, I'm going to do Common App and change your mind and go back and do direct institution. But this needs to be very clear. You can go back and change it at a later date. So don't think that you're tied to a particular mode of delivery, but choose one because then at least if we come through this process, I'm not sure yet, nothing will go through. You're at least giving yourself a 50-50 chance of doing it right here.
Absolutely. So once you choose that, make sure you click the green button, add and request transcripts. There is a checkbox here to click initial. Again, green button, request and finish, and you'll notice that the schools are requested in your college I'm applying to list.
Once that's done, okay, before there's a big, when transcripts are released and they're finalized and they're ready to go, there's a big rush to get down to the transcript office or the College and Career Center, and Mrs. Borchers is inundated by requests for these transcripts. If you haven't done the preceding steps, this part still doesn't apply to you. Okay, so if you're interested, you're anxious, you want to get this in, get this requested, you haven't completed the steps. Okay, this is the last domino to fall in this process. So make sure that, as you're aware, if you're going to turn in the pink release of records form, and this is similar to FERPA, you're saying, I give you permission to share my stuff with people, okay? It's around the same types of laws around your educational records. When you're handing that pink form to Mrs. Borchers with the money for the transcript, you need to know that the previous steps have been completed. This college that you've written down on this form is already in Naviance. If it's a Common App school, your Common App is linked to Naviance. You've requested the transcript in Naviance. Those things all have to have happened. Or Mrs. Borchers is going to say, she can look it up, she says, sorry, here's your form back, we're not going to do it. So make sure that you know that going in as we're looking to begin this on Monday. We're going to be able to get this ball rolling here for the release of records form. So you can turn these in K31 or in the transcript office, depending on the time of day. Please note that it will take some time from your request to having these transcripts and the other school reports, letters of recommendations, and everything else to have them sent. So please be mindful of that. If you're eyeing an early admission deadline of, say, of November 1st, please make sure that you're getting your transcript request in by about October 15th. Give us some time in there to be able to do this because, as you might imagine, I have 350 students. Mrs. Flacco and Dr. Getter do as well. Mr. Brett only has 1,000 students who are seniors this year trying to do all this stuff. It's a lot to cram into a very short period of time, okay, this college application season in particular. So just be aware of that. So those are the steps. It's fairly straightforward in the process as long as you know how to do them. So make sure that when you're preparing to apply to schools in the fall, whenever, and you may be just applying regular admission to a large number of schools, and it's January 1st, and you can let your friends freak out and go crazy about this stuff. But at some point in time, you're going to have to figure out for yourself when you need to do this. Make sure you go back to this slide presentation on the guidance page and just make sure step by step, did I do this? Okay, good, I'm ready to go. Pink form you can get from the transcript office, the College and Career Center, as well, and then you can put this in, and then that passes it on to us, and we're off and running the counselors with what we need to do.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Sounds great.
All right, so the rest of this nighttime, make sure if you are already logged into Naviance, hopefully you have your password ready to go. Do this stuff. Go to the guidance page, review this presentation, make sure you're ready to go. But by the end of this nighttime, barring any sort of technological glitch, you should have all these steps completed and you're ready to do this last slide on Monday when we launch these sheets.
Sounds great.
All right.
Look
Thanks,
forward
guys.
to working with everybody.